It is time for another weekly vlog, and oh boy, do we have lots to talk about. Welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads! Let's go! Yes, hello, and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. This is a weekly vlog covering the 1st to the 8th of November 2024. I have to think that, my goodness, can you believe in about 7-ish weeks, it's going to be New Year's. I'm scared. That's just fallen on me. I need to process that. One moment. Okay, that is something to process. 7 weeks, are you kidding me? Let's jump right on in. So with my weekly vlogs, I do reading, personal and watching updates, and there may be more kind of updates categories coming in the future. Time will tell. But at this stage, those are the 3 that I do. So I'm going to start with what I've been reading in this past week. So for those that are only here for the reading portion, we can get through that first. And then for those of you who want to stick around for the life update and the watching update, you certainly can do that as well. So let's jump right on in. I'm really enjoying putting books up on the screen. If you would prefer for me to hold the physical books in my hand, please do let me know. And if you'd like me to film in front of the bookshelf, I actually planned on doing my monthly wrap in front of the bookshelf, and then I was rushed for my monthly wrap, so I didn't do it. But yeah, if you want to see any changes, let me know. But we'll be putting books up on the screen just to make it easier for today. The first book that I planned to read in the month of October was Restless Stars by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti, the final book in the Zodiac Academy series, but that did not happen, and let me explain why. Okay, so I am currently reading another series, a classic middle grade series by Enid Blyton, arguably her most well-known series, which is The Famous Five. There are 21 books in that series, and this month I plan to read books 20 and 21 at the end of the month, because they're always the shortest books on my TBR, and I start my TBR with the longest books and finish with the shortest, which makes sense because Zodiac Academy is incredibly long, and Famous Five, they're novellas. Anyway, I was listening to Famous Five on audiobook because I had initially, as a child, listened to the minority of the audiobooks of the series, and so I wanted to continue on with that experience. Unfortunately, the platform that I was getting those audiobooks from no longer had them, which was very annoying because literally I only had 2 books to go. Like, come on. You couldn't have just held out for 4 more weeks. We would have been fine. But anyway, so I ended up reaching out to find out what had happened, and yeah, apparently it can no longer be provided on that service. So it is what it is. Fortunately, I found it on another service, and you know exactly what I did. I pushed Famous Five right to the start of my TBR to get it done. So the first book that I actually read in this first week of November was this book, which is called Five Have Mystery to Solve. It is book number 20 in the Famous Five series, a middle grade classic series, and I gave this book 3 stars. The premise of this series overall is that we follow 4 children and a dog. We follow George, who is a girl who was born as Georgina, but she prefers to be called George. She's very much a tomboy, which is fantastic, and her dog Timmy. Then she has 3 cousins, Julian, Dick, and Anne. And the 5 of them end up getting together in every single book, and it's always holiday time, so they come together as cousins and adventures occur. In this particular book, the premise of this one is there any truth in the stories surrounding Whispering Island? When the Famous Five are stranded on the island, they start to investigate and find they're not the only ones. Now, I need to make a statement before I tell you about my thoughts on this book, and that is I've been doing some research subsequent to finishing off this series and found out that Enid Blyton actually did not want to release or did not want to publish 21 books in this series. She kind of was forced to by the publisher because the Famous Five the series was doing really well, but she got to a point where she was starting to get over it. I have to admit, with this book, I gave it 3 stars, and I could see that. I did not know this information at the time, so it disappointed me, but I could see that she was getting over the series. So to my thoughts on this one, it's very hard for me to be critical of the series, and indeed Enid Blyton herself, especially given that I've recently found out Enid didn't I want to write all the books in the series. So there you go. Actually, apparently I had done the research before I wrote this review. In saying that, part of the reason I read this book was to critique it, and I love this series overall so much that I feel I can critique when needed. Firstly, the story. Okay, so it's not word for word the exact same thing we've seen in the past, but it's a good 85 to 90% on the plagiarism scale, even if Blyton is plagiarizing herself. This alone had me wanting to give the book 2 stars, as I felt I felt I'd already read it. But something clever happens with Anne that really shows her growth from book 1 to this point, and that in and of itself deserves an additional star. I'll quickly unpack that for you. So, without giving away too much at all, what the Famous Five are doing in this book as a generalization has been done before. It's been done a few times in this series, so I feel like it's kind of been done to death. It's a trope, because you can do it in different ways. It's not a cliche, but still. But as for Anne is one of my absolute favorite characters. I guess to kind of provide a balance between the characters, because Georgina, called George, is a tomboy, they needed a feminine character, and that feminine character is Anne. So, and obviously being a classic series, it's the whole stereotypical girl things, boy things. You know what I mean. Like, if they go camping, the boys would be the one to put up the tent, and Anne would be the one to cook the meals, and whatever. I mean, I'm so glad we're in 2024. Anyway, so in this particular book, Julian makes a comment to Anne that she's a little mouse, because she kind of has been portrayed that way for the majority of the series. Anne doesn't know quite how to respond to that. Anne ends up doing a couple of things in this book that prove that she's not a mouse, and Julian finally validates she's actually a tiger. A tiger has emerged instead of a mouse, and I really, really did appreciate that. But overall, because of the self-plagiarism, I had to give this book 3 stars. And therefore, the next book that I read was the final book in the Famous Five series, Five Are Together Again. Once again by Enid Blyton, middle grade classic. I gave this particular one 4.5 stars. And before we go into the premise, all my thoughts very quickly, let's actually celebrate that. I had a goal to get through all 21 books in the Famous Five series this year, and I accomplished it. Yay! So the premise of this one is, reunited with Tinker, who featured in an earlier adventure, the Famous Five are invited to camp out in a field close to his house, in which Professor Hayling, Tinker's scientist father, also lives. When a circus arrives and sets up camp, the Famous Five are contented. Oh, good, I'm sorry. I copied and pasted the premise. The Famous Five are contented with the mild excitement of watching the circus folks' antics and getting to know them. But then a real commotion strikes when a tower in the grounds of Professor Hayling's house is robbed. Can the five track down their culprit? And what has the mystery got to do with Kieran Island? Now, for those of you who don't know, George lives on a farm called Kieran Farm. There is an island nearby, obviously, called Kieran Island, and it was gifted to George by her father. So even though George is a little girl, it is her island, and she tells everyone, she's like, that is my island. And in book 1, her cousin's like, really, it can't be your island, you're a little girl. She's like, well, it is. And then they find out from her dad, yes, Kieran Island is George's island. Anyway, so to my thoughts, reuniting with Tinker was so much fun. I love when we meet these new characters that the five hang out with, regardless of where they go. They generally, not in every book, but I would say 95% of the books, have a new companion that they meet who helps them with the mystery. And we had dealt with Tinker before. So reuniting with Tinker was a lot of fun. When I read the Tinker book, I made the point that, the first Tinker book, that, Timmy, when Tinker arrives, he arrives with his chimpanzee. Timmy runs inside because there's a strange animal and starts barking. Tinker bops Timmy on the nose, and George hits Tinker. I really appreciated that she did, because I didn't like that he hit Timmy on the nose. But after that, I quite grew to love Tinker because he grew quite a lot. So when the five go to George's home, because they always do, to start the holidays, Aunt Fanny, George's mum, opens the door and says, unfortunately, we are all in quarantine at the moment, so you can't have us. But do you remember Tinker? And the moment I heard her say, do you remember Tinker? I was like, yes, I remember Tinker. Oh my God, what about Tinker? And so she says, yeah, you can, I've spoken to Tinker's father, Professor Haling, and you can go and stay with him. And oh my gosh, I was so excited to see Tinker again. I also loved that in this book a circus was featured, which reminded me of Five Go Off in a Caravan. I think that's the only other time a circus was featured. There may be one other. But yeah, because Five Go Off in a Caravan is like within the first 5 books. It's one of the first 5. And this is book 21. Yeah, it was a good time to feature circus again. So that was good. It took, as I said, took me back to Five Go Off in a Caravan. All in all, the book was fantastic and almost got 5 stars, but the ending felt left. As in, left out. One minute we're working out who the robber is because, you know, Professor Haling's house has been robbed. So one moment we're trying to work out who the robber is, and the next minute, all is well. Just felt a little unfinished ending with too many questions. That said, the unfinishedness is only worth a 0.5 star deduction, so I gave it 4.5 stars. I'm going to very quickly unpack that for you. So, imagine reading a mystery, and to me it doesn't matter if a mystery is middle grade, YA, adult, if it is a thriller, a mystery, a cozy, whatever it is. There is one thing required in any mystery book that is not a series, in any standalone book of a mystery, and that is that the mystery gets solved, right? Yeah, I don't know if I missed it, or if the audiobook edition that I was listening to missed that part or skipped that part. I'm going to have to go through the physical book and see if I missed something. But really, we have the cousins talking and they're going, oh, I think it might be this one for this reason. And then the next thing we know, all was well. It doesn't feel satisfying. Like, did the mystery end? I don't know. Anyway, 4.5 stars for that one, and I've now finished the Famous 5 series in 1 year. Yay! So, the next book that I picked up, now that I have finished the Famous 5 series and don't have to worry about the audiobook debacle anymore, finally is Restless Stars. And, yeah, so I need to find out where I am. Alright, I'm going to hold up the book just to show you representation of where I'm at. So, I'm there, with this being the start and this being the end. So yes, I am on page 405, and there are 894 pages. So yeah, according to the ebook though, which I also am reading between, I'm at 54%. And therefore just over halfway. So let me talk about my thoughts of Restless Stars so far. I went in anxious because I always go into long books very anxious. Just wait till you find out what I'm reading in December. Talking about long books. And when I say long books, this book is 768 pages, which is long. But anyway, once I started reading, I fell back in love with the many, many reasons that I've loved Zodiac Academy this whole time that I've been reading the series. And this is the final book in that series. So there's not a lot I can say without giving away spoilers, but I am thinking of doing a spoiler-free and spoiler review of the Zodiac Academy series as a whole because of how much I do love it. If you would like to see that, let me know in the comment section below. All I can really say, keeping things spoiler-free, which would be completely understandable, is this whole time we're dealing with a magical war, and in this book we're trying to wrap up this war and finally end this war. So, yeah. It's been interesting. There are many characters that I love. One thing I will say is I'm really, really happy with the character growth of Seth and Caleb. I have to think there. Seth and Caleb, as well as Xavier, Tyler, and Sophia. I am loving Darius so much. Oh my gosh. If Darius is the last chapter, which I highly doubt it because the full circle would be the twins, one of the twins having the last perspective, but if Darius was the last perspective, it'd make me so happy. Because my first perspective I read was Darius's, because I started with The Awakening as Told by the Boys, reading that in tandem with Book 1, The Awakening. But yeah, really, really loving it, and yeah, can't wait to continue, and obviously we'll give you more updates as we do progress into next week. All right, so that is, excuse me, that is the book update. Just very quickly, my plans for next week are to continue on with Restless Stars. Once that is done, I am picking up a book that I wanted to read since 2020, and so please, I hope it doesn't let me down, which is this book, The School for Good and Evil. Just that title, it's all I need to hear. I'm very excited. So that will be the next book I pick up. So if I finish Restless Stars prior to the end of next week, then I will start this book before the next vlog. If not, then we'll talk Z8. All right. So for those of you that were only here for the bookish update, thank you so much for being here. Please do like and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you are notified each and every time I do upload a video, and I will certainly see you in the next one. For those who want to continue on with the other two sections, let's begin that now because I'm quickly running out of time. Personal update time. Okay, so not really a lot to update personally. I've been doing a lot of research into my dental disorder. For those of you who don't know, I was born with a I was born with a congenital dental disorder called ameliogenesis imperfecta, and among other things, it has caused me a whole lot of havoc. Unfortunately, going to the dentist is not cheap here, even if you are on welfare, which currently I am. I wasn't at the beginning of the year, but I am now, because unfortunately, at my job, they end up retrenching everyone. So yeah, I'm kind of in between jobs at the moment. I've gone to many different dentists to get different quotes, which I've spoken of before. The most recent quote that I got about a week ago was $100,000, and I am not kidding. That's literally what she said, $100,000. So anyway, I was doing some more research as well and came up with a couple of things. There's a government-funded place that looking at putting me on a wait list, but because of some research that my father did, I ended up finding out that the government actually in Australia recognises my condition, recognises ameliogenesis imperfecta through some form of government subsidy, Medicare, we call it here. And so I wanted to look into that and all these different things. So I ended up calling this place, and they said they'll put me on a wait list. I said, is there anything I can do? Does having ameliogenesis imperfecta make a difference? Because being on welfare doesn't, because to get into this place, you need to be on welfare because the rate is considerably cheaper. So they already knew that. And she said, it may do, it may not. I said, look, the government does recognize it, but, I just thought I'd ask. And I was advised to go down and get a letter from my doctor, from my GP, for all these different things. I ended up saying to the receptionist, why would I go to my GP for that? How can they help me with that? And the receptionist said, they do. I went to my GP, to cut a long story short, did not get a letter, got charged. Rang the dental place and said, excuse me. And they're like, wait, what? But they normally do. And I said, well, I was told not only ethically, but also legally that this doctor can't do it. So what she was just absolutely amazing. I won't go into detail, but this receptionist, she gave me the time of day to talk about my situation, which a lot of people don't do. And my situation is very much a 1 in a million. Outside of my immediate family, I don't know anyone who has ameliogenesis imperfecta. It's incredibly rare. Yeah, because of the fact that it is congenital, I did wonder if it would make a difference. Anyway, so this second receptionist, I spoke to her. I was very professional and said, just so you know, this happened. I did this. I was charged. Got no letter. And she was absolutely wonderful. Gave me the time of day to speak about, just get everything off my chest, basically, because it's been really, really tough for me. I don't like talking too much about things that put me in a situation where I'm looking like I'm looking for charity or looking for whatever, because I'm not. I'm just saying it's tough. And it was nice that she gave me the time of day to discuss it. I'm glad I did, because after coming back from being off hold, she had a plan that she discussed with me, and that plan sounds absolutely amazing. So I just want to send this receptionist so many blessings because she was so wonderful. Let's quickly move on to watching, because we're going to run out of time really rapidly. Currently, I am watching 2 different shows interchangeably, Drop Dead Diva and The Nanny. Both of these are re-watches for me. I've watched every episode many, many, many times. I watch The Nanny when I'm in bed to fall asleep. I've seen those episodes so many times I can quote most of them. In fact, there were some that I had to skip because I was literally quoting them in my head and thought, there's no way I'm going to fall asleep to this. And Drop Dead Diva I will watch when I watch regular TV, and I do love both shows. I spoke in great detail about the premise of Drop Dead Diva in my last weekly vlog, so feel free to check that out if you would like to. But yeah, that's basically what's South Park Fractured But Whole. I think I've finished it. For those who have played the game, tell me if you agree or not. I have finished every mission, I have finished every side quest, but the only thing I haven't done is defeat Morgan Freeman. Now, does that still count as a win? I think it does. I've seen the credits, so I think it does. I think I've clocked it, and I'm happy I did. So there you go. And I'm looking forward to getting back into some Sims, because I haven't simmed in a while, so maybe I can sim at some point soon. Alright, that is where I am going to leave it. If you have any comments, thoughts, and or questions, down in the comment section below is the place to leave it. We have a Discord server, the Sparkle Cafe. I would love for you to join us. Link is in the description. If you're having trouble connecting with the link, please just leave a comment in the comment section below and we will get you over there. We have a blast over there. We're doing reading sprints all the time. We're doing buddy reads. And it's not just about reading. We talk about things we are watching, things we are reading, things we are writing, all different types of hobbies and interests we have. It is a whole lot of fun. So even if you don't read and you'd like to join the server, click on the link below. If it doesn't work, let me know in those comments. We will find a way to get you there. But in the meantime, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind. I know that there may be some tough times ahead for my international viewers in the lovely United States. So please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling positive energy, because we need more of that all throughout the world. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.